So today I'll be continuing with my schedule discussion and point spread prediction videos. Today I'll be doing West Virginia. So I think that West Virginia was one of the top three most surprising teams last year. And I know I didn't include them in my early top 25 video, but there's a good chance that I'll have them in my final top 25 video. Mm, I think uh, they're a team that has a little bit of a chance to make it to the Big 12 championship game this year, mm, mm, uh, especially with Oklahoma and Texas leaving now. And It'll really be about winning close games to me for West Virginia because on this schedule, it looks to me like there's going to be a lot of close games. And if West Virginia is able to win mm, pretty much all of them, then they'll probably go to the conference championship. But there's also a good chance they could lose most of them uh, and have a disappointing season. Uh, and really, that's going to be a lot of the Big 12 this year. There's going to be a lot of close games like there usually are. There will be some teams that are better than others in the conference, but there are going to be a lot of teams that are around the same. And this schedule, to me, it is a pretty tough schedule, but how tough a team's schedule is depends a lot on how good the team is. For West Virginia, this schedule has plenty of tough games on it. But if Georgia had this schedule, it'd be the easiest schedule any team has ever had. So, in the non-conference, mm, they only get one easy win, and they only get one given win on the whole schedule, and that's a team called Albany. I'd never even heard of them, but I know from the name that they're an FCS team that West Virginia is gonna beat easily. And they play two Power Four opponents in the non-conference. They start the season against Penn State at home. So this will probably be a loss for West Virginia. Penn State, I think, is better, but West Virginia does have a pretty good home field advantage. They've got one of the best home field advantages in the Big 12. Uh, mm, I'd give them a little bit of a chance in this one, but not a good chance. Mm, and They have on the road at Pittsburgh in the non-conference. That's a game that West Virginia should be able to go on the road and win, but it is a losable game. But Pittsburgh was horrible last year, but they could be more average this year. So it could be kind of a challenging game. Uh, and then they start conference schedule against Kansas. Uh, this will be a tough one, but a very winnable game for West Virginia. This is a kind of game that it should really help West Virginia being at home for it. And Really, mm, these kind of games, uh, can't West Virginia needs to win when they get them at home. Uh, and Then they take a week off. Comes at a good time in between Kansas and right before on the road at Oklahoma State. This will probably be a loss for West Virginia. Oklahoma State, I think, is better than West Virginia, and it's a tough place to play, but I'd give them a chance in it at least. It's not like it's a game that it'd be really shocking if West Virginia won it. And then Iowa State and Kansas State. So these will be decent teams probably. Kansas State will probably be a little better than Iowa State, but mm, these are teams that, like with Kansas, uh, mm, with it being a home game for West Virginia, they need to win them. Mm, mm, and mm, then they have on the road at Arizona. Very winnable, but it is going to be hard for them to uh, mm, keep up with that quarterback that they have, Fafita. Mm, and then they get another week off before playing another road game against Cincinnati. So this probably isn't the best time for a week off, but maybe it's not horrible because Cincinnati is horrible, I know, but West Virginia is not a good program in football at all, really. I know they had a pretty good season last year and are supposed to have another pretty good season this year, but before last year, West Virginia had been terrible for a while. So this is the kind of game that West Virginia should win, but they could lose still to a team like Cincinnati. Uh, and then they play Baylor. Baylor was terrible last year, and especially playing at home. West Virginia should win this one, but Baylor is usually better than they were last year, so they'll probably get back to being uh, decent again. So this could end up being pretty tough. Mm, and then Central Florida. So Central Florida, I've been looking into them uh, a lot recently, and I think they could surprise some this year and be better than expected. So I think this will be a challenging one for West Virginia, but very winnable. Mm, and they're probably a little bit better than Central Florida. Uh, and then on the road at Texas Tech, mm, that'll be tough. It's going to be tough uh, for them to win these road games against decent teams. Texas Tech isn't expected to be great, but they probably won't be terrible. West Virginia probably is a little better. Uh, and so now I'll uh, move on to the prediction. So if you want to see more about how I do the point spreads, you can go watch my Ohio State video. I explain it mm, a lot in that. But the games in the green are games where I think West Virginia will be a blowout favorite. So that means uh, 20 or more points. Uh, and there's only one of those, Albany. And the games in the purple are games where I think that West Virginia will be favored to win by about a touchdown. So 6 to 9 points, and there's four of those: Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Baylor, and Central Florida. And the games in the pink are the games where I think uh, they'll be favored to win by about a field goal. So 1 to 5 points, and there's four of those: Kansas, Iowa State, Kansas State, and Texas Tech. Mm, and the games in the uh, gray are games where I think West Virginia will be about a field goal underdog, so 1 to 5 points. And there's two of those, Oklahoma State and Arizona. And the games in the yellow are games where I think West Virginia will be about a touchdown underdog, so 6 to 9 points. And there's one of those at Penn State. Uh, and Albany, West Virginia should be favored in that one by like 50 points. Mm, and Pittsburgh, if that was a home game for West Virginia, I'd have it in the blue, which means they'd be a double-digit favorite. But with it being on the road, I'd say that West Virginia will probably be favored in that one by around 8 points. And Cincinnati, that'd be in the blue if it was at home also, but because it's on the road, the spread in that one uh, will probably be around 9 points. And Baylor, I'd say right now that West Virginia would be favored in that one by about 7. That'd be in the pink though, if it was a road game. And Central Florida, the spread in that one will probably be about 6 points. That'd for sure be in the pink if it was on the road, because I don't think they're going to be a whole lot better than Central Florida. Mm, mm, And Penn State, that would be in the orange if it was at Penn State, which means West Virginia would be a double-digit underdog. But because it's at home, I think uh, Penn State will only be favored by 8 or 9 points. Mm, and mm, Kansas, I think West Virginia will be favored in that one by a couple of points. 2 or 3 points, really just because it's a home game. Kansas would probably be favored if it was at Kansas. And Iowa State, West Virginia will probably be favored in that one by 3 or 4 points. But mm, I don't think they'd be favored if it was on the road. Mm, and Kansas State, I think West Virginia, because of home field advantage, will be favored in that one by a point or two. But they'd no doubt be an underdog against Kansas State if it was a road game because I think Kansas State's a little better. Mm, And Texas Tech, that'd be in the purple if it was a home game, but because it's on the road, I think West Virginia will probably be favored by 4 or 5 points in that one. And Oklahoma State, I think they'll be favored to beat West Virginia by around 5 points. And Arizona will probably be favored to beat West Virginia by around 3 because that's a road game for West Virginia. West Virginia would probably be favored if it was a home game. But that will be it with this video, and please subscribe, and thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.